Dodi li vani lo haroe bashoshanim. Dodi li, Dodi li, vani lo haroe bashoshanim. Dodi li.
Welcome everyone to Shalvah this week, and right now we're headed into the spring. We see around us the earth waking up from its long slumber, especially in Philadelphia. The iciness of winter was almost unprecedented for us, and now we see the sun coming out and the earth starting to wake up, and we turn towards Pesach, and the celebration of Passover, we know, is connected in the minds of the ancient rabbis to the Song of Songs, to this ancient love song that uses a lot of imagery from nature to talk about love. And this maybe is one of the most well-known lines in all of the Song of Songs that we're looking at this week. Dodi li, va'ani lo, my beloved is mine, and I am my beloved's. Haroe bashoshanim, who browses, who hangs out among the lilies. And there's this sort of connection, this layering of different things connecting to each other here. The idea of springtime, and the earth reproduces, the earth wakes up, it starts to fill our eyes with the wonder of creation, and it's the time of also animal reproduction, and of course it's the time from not for centuries and centuries where human beings' thoughts turn to love, and the whole Song of Songs is framed as sort of a series of poems that are about a lover and a beloved, and their discovery of each other, their descriptions of each other, their connection to each other as they move through the wonders of nature in the spring. The Song of Songs in rabbinic tradition was said to have been written by King Solomon when he was a young man and experiencing the joys of love. But there was a lot of controversy about whether this should be even included in the Hebrew Bible at all. Should this be part of the Tanakh? Because the Song of Songs, like the book of Esther, doesn't mention God. It's not really any mention of God's name. And so what's the connection between this beautiful love song with all this beautiful imagery of nature and the Bible, the sort of record, this record of the connection between humanity and the divine? And so famously, the rabbis decided that it was appropriate to include this in the Bible because love is actually a characteristic of that relationship between human and divine, and that relationship it's a good analogy, they said. The lover and the beloved is a good analogy for our relationship to God. So they said we have to understand this as not only operating at the level of nature and not only operating at the level of human beings loving each other, but also operating at this level of describing the love between human and divine. And so because of that, it's included in the Tanakh, and it is studied, and it is traditionally chanted during the holiday of Pesach as part of our celebration. So this particular verse in chapter 2 is trying to get at one aspect of what those different layers of love and connection are all about. And it boils down to reciprocity. Dodi li va'ani lo. It's just hard to say that as compactly in English as we can say it in Hebrew, but this idea that my beloved is mine and I belong to my beloved. In other words, we are each other's, are in the sense that we give love freely to each other. We in some ways love each other equally, or at least the love that we have for each other makes us equal partners in this relationship. Um, this is a really powerful idea that we associate with our maybe modern ideas of love. And that's maybe the reason that this verse is so commonly sung at weddings, um, because it describes, in some ways, an ideal of human love, that we are devoted to each other and we in some ways give up a little bit of our autonomy to be connected to each other. So that is something maybe we understand from our own contemporary ideas of romantic love. But the idea that that relationship also, that reciprocity also describes our relationship with the divine, that's a little maybe less familiar to us in our modern times, but something that the ancients thought about a lot. That we, as much as we might belong to God, God belongs to us. As much as we might see ourselves as God's people, God sees God's self as our God. And that's repeated many times in the Torah. God says to the people, you'll be my people and I will be your God. That's reciprocity. And it's harder maybe for us to think about it with relationship to God because we think we're not like God. It's one of the basic things we know about God is that we're not the same. Um, but maybe that's also something we know about lovers, about loving other people, is that we don't love each other because we're the same. We actually love the differences in each other, and we love in part because we see the distance between us and are able to bridge the distance at the same time, the distance of that difference. So to be able to open ourselves up to this kind of love and imagining that as an aspect of our love or connection to the divine, nature helps with that because our experience of nature is so direct. Our the way nature and the beauty of nature catches our breath and makes, really plays on our emotions, that maybe helps us feel the sense in which we're held in the love of the divine, and that the divine, actually there is some feedback where our appreciation and the love we put out into the world is actually received by the divine. And there's the mystics saw this as a continuous feedback loop. We're putting our love out there and it's going up, and it goes up into the divine realm, and the divine God pours down love onto the earth, which goes into us, but also goes into the trees, the plants, the flowers, the fruit, everything we see blossoming around us. And then our appreciation of it sends that energy back on its way, sends the love back up into the heavens. And it's continually, that loop is really the cycle of life. So as we go into the spring and we start to see hope at the end of the long, long, long tunnel of this pandemic, the image of that feedback, the reciprocity of love between human and divine, can really give us comfort and allow us to feel all of the feelings of spring on all these levels, on the level of nature, on the level of the human, and on the level of our connection to what is not human, our connection to the divine.
So, spring is change, and mindfulness meditation is helps us be grounded and centered when change is happening. So, we're going to use our body and or our breath to bring ourselves to the present, bring our awareness here, and we'll do that in the hopes that it helps us navigate change gracefully and from a non-reactive place. So, beginning either closing your eyes or letting your gaze rest a few feet in front of you on the floor. Taking a couple of deep breaths to bring yourself here to this moment. Bring yourself into the room, bring your awareness to your seat. If you're sitting or lying down, bring your awareness to your body. Body breathing. However it's breathing is fine. Just notice where your breath is today. Notice the quality of your breath. Is it shallow or deep? Where do you feel it? In your nose, in your throat, in your chest, in your belly. Not trying to change it, just notice. Bringing your awareness to your feet, feeling your feet. If they're bare, feeling them on the floor. If they are shod, feeling your socks or shoes. All the points of contact. Really feel your feet. Feel all the points of contact between you and your chair if you are sitting, or you and the floor if you're lying down. Really feel yourself sitting. Are you cool, warm? Is what you're sitting on hard or soft? Feel your body being supported by whatever it's resting on. Feeling your hands. Your palms, the tops of your hands, your thumbs, fingers. Feeling your eyelids covering your eyes if they're closed. Seeking out everything in your body that you can be aware of. Hair on your head or on your neck. The air in the room, on your skin. Aches or pains that you've been carrying. Inhabiting your body as fully as possible. Feeling from the top of your head all the way through head and neck, shoulders, torso, midsection, legs, knees, calves, feet, arms to fingertips, your whole body. Your body is breathing. You can stay with your body, or you can move your attention to your breath. Bringing your awareness to the beginning of your inhalation, where it changes to an exhalation. And if it helps to keep your awareness on your breath, you can count up to 10. One whole cycle would be one. So inhaling and exhaling, one. And as long as you can keep your focus on your breath, you can keep counting up to 10. If you lose count, just go back to 1. There's no success or graduating once you get to 10. It is fine to go back to 1 as many times as you need. It's just a tool to keep your attention on your breath. If you get carried away in thoughts, just gently bring your attention back to your body or your breath. And if you'd like to use counting, just start over again from 1. Coming back to your breath and your body whenever you get carried away in thought. And then before we end, from this place of more quieted thought and increased awareness, taking that idea of reciprocity and those who we love in our lives and setting a kavanah, an intention to think about what we bring to the cycle of reciprocity. What do we bring to those beloveds? Could we be even more generous with those that we love? And might that increase our own gifts through the reciprocity that they then show us? So when you're ready, you can raise your arms over your head. Take in a deeper breath. And let the light of the room back in. And we'll chant together before we end. Dodi vani lo haro li, Dodi li, v'ani lo haroe b'shoshanim, Dodi 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 li.
So I hope as we move further into the spring that we can feel the love coming at us from the earth, from the people surrounding us, from the divine showering its love on us. And that'll give us the strength to keep going, keep on going. Thank you all for being with us this week.